All right, we are going to go around the exterior on this 2012 Mazda 3. Sorry, I was getting attacked by a bug. On the rear bumper here, we do have a little bit of damage, some pretty good deep gouging. The hard thing with the plastics, you'll basically sand this down and try to blend it as best you can. It's not like a touch-up, it's very noticeable. Plastics and metals age in the sun and weather differently too, so you'll get like a difference there. But you can kind of see going down here, that orange peel in the paint. It's a lot more apparent in real life. As you get to this door, you can see like waviness to it, a little bit of roughness down in here. This whole fender and everything, these have all been repainted, kind of rough. Really oxidized lights here. You can see here where these edges have been painted. And then, so like this side's not as bad, but you can see like where they adjusted on the door. I do want to take a moment, I'm going to show you here on this side, so you see how you can see your protective cover on this side really easily. It's on top of the paint. Pause here. This is back to the driver door with all the waviness in it. So this is that protector. They painted over it and then they just blended it into the bodywork. Like it doesn't even have an edge anymore down here. So that's a new one for me. I have not seen that one before. You open the door, you can literally see the plastics under the paint. So that kind of bugs me. I don't know, I have an eye to look out for like paint issues. The work on the door is not great, in my opinion, with the condition of the paint. Get a new door, have the paint redone, and then have someone really buff and cut this thing, because like you got lines all over this. So not the best paint job. This thing's been through some stuff in the front for sure. You want to stop here and keep moving forward. All right, we're gonna go through this engine bay really quick. Pretty straightforward. It's in really good shape overall. A couple things that did stand out to me. We do have like a little bit of wetness here. So I'm not sure if they had top fluids up recently or what happened with that. A little bit of wetness around the valve cover there. Brake fluid way darker than I like to see. It's one of the more neglected fluids on vehicles. And then this does have fluid here, but it's an electric system, so it's not what you normally deal with. So just keep an eye on that. Because the pump is, it's hard to explain. Like they have like an electric pump rack, but it's got fluid. I don't know. It's on the Jeep products too, like that. Another thing I did want to point out, you can see this goop on these lights. Kind of gross. So I don't know if they've tried to like redo these and gooped it back together or not. Looking down in here, this is like your bracket for this crash support. It's not actually secured there. A little bit of play. That ticking sound, I always like to explain these on these engines. If you're not familiar with direct injection, you're hearing the pulsing of the injectors. That's good. That's what you want to hear. Down here you can see your insulation against the firewall has been kind of chewed up a bit. Your manifold, your exhaust manifold is right there. So kind of make sure that's not falling off. I don't see anything dangling or anything like that, but you see your condenser line comes out below there and everything, so just something to keep an eye on. But beyond that, pretty much this whole front clip has been painted. You got pretty rough lines here. You can see where the fenders have been adjusted and stuff. The edge on the hood, got some rough edges here. We'll get through that more on the exterior though, but I had to touch base on some of this stuff while the hood was open. I'm gonna stop there. All right, now we're doing the underside. This is gonna be a big part here. So you see this is your radiator, condenser and everything. This rubber is an isolator. There's supposed to be a bracket here that holds that radiator up in there. Right now it's just being held up at the top. So there's nothing down here. If you catch a curb on this plastic bumper and smash into that, you're done for. It's just hanging out here. This is a big deal for me. You can see the plastics are kind of chewed up and stuff here too. So get that piece, put that in. That's your transmission pan. You can see the wetness on the oil pan next to it. So you got a little bit of a leak. Could be just poor oil change, cleanup, something along those lines. We're gonna go down the sides here. Okay, so we are at the driver front corner. This is gonna be your lift point, so you can see where that bodywork, the paint and everything kind of folding over there, chipping off. Body frame is all good and everything like that, so that's good. Doesn't look like there's any like major impacts or anything like crazy in the body part, so looks like just the outside shell body pieces is what they worked on here. And then to the back of the car, here's your lift point again, more suspension, fuel tank and stuff. I'm gonna peek in here the wheel, see if I can get my camera up there. So that rubber isolator up there, or bump stop in some cases, I think that's gonna be your rattle and clunk. Not leaking out fluid at the bottom of the dust boot or anything like that. So I don't know if that's necessarily a blown. I would do the whole strut if the isolators look like that. And then right here, that's your sway bar link. So they're really, really little and they just kind of tie in there. Those could be what's going on. You can see how one looks newer than the other. Usually you do those together. Exhaust is all good. This is actually the pan on the back of the body. If you ever see any work or anything done like that, this car's been in a huge wreck. This one looks good. You can go to the passenger side. Alright, so lift point on the passenger side here looks really, really good. Going down the lane looks good. And then your front lift point area, really good shape. So you can see more of that wetness. See, it's behind that oil pan, so it could be just like the drain plug and then wind spraying it around because the splash guard's missing. But yeah, some things to get looked at. Alright, this is your interior. So starting at the wheel here, all the controls. So you're gonna have your volume, radio, voice controls, your info, which is like this screen up here, and then cruise control, horn. No shifters here. It does have manual shift down here. Heated seats, no auto climate, but all this works really well. And then this all works. I couldn't get these buttons to work. I don't have anything to plug in here, but the satellite didn't respond. And then it does say no disc, so that's all working. Doesn't have a backup camera. When you push nav, it's more or less just a compass. So it kind of gives you compass and like your lat and longitude. This screen I can't get to do anything. Normally it'll give you like fuel, stuff like that. I've pushed all the buttons, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. It's kind of hard to see with the camera, but right here there's a split. You can kind of see the adhesive in there. There we go. A little bit of split, so over time like the leather dashes and stuff will kind of like bulge and it's separate from that screen. They actually had a recall on these. I had a 2013 Mazda Speed. I don't know, these cars are so old now, if that's something that still applies, but they had a solution for that. Current mileage on the vehicle, we're at 154,087. Okay, and manual lights, wipers on front and rear. Just the traction control doesn't have blind spot or any kind of those features. Does have auto window on your door only. I did have an issue with these working every single time I hit them, but they do work. All these switches work as intended. We're gonna stop here and we're gonna go from the outside in. I'll show you the sunroof and everything and kind of go through a couple things. I'll show you this cup holder, and then this does slide. I don't think they knew about it based on the dirt there. There's a little like false switch here, and then your center console, pretty deep. Auxiliary and stuff is in there. Do have a power seat on this side. You can see the leather here has been through its days. It does have these all-weather mats. They are full of gravel. It is a gravel lot where these are stored, but the carpets are in pretty good shape. A little bit of stuff there where someone probably kept their foot with cruise control on. And then back here, so you'll see stuff like this, like little dings on the doors, inner panel, and stuff like that kind of stands out to me. Back seats are in relatively good shape. There's some stuff like this looks like it was probably repaired at one point. There's some wear on there that you'll see when I go around that side. Weather mats again, carpets underneath are really good. Door cards are in pretty good shape. Stopping here, going to the other side. Passenger side, door card. So you'll see, like I did note, these little trim pieces get scratched and worn. And then here's some of that wear I was telling you about. Sunroof does have some stains, some light stains up in the headroof, or headliner, sorry. And then passenger side, manual seat, pretty good shape. Some more like wear there. Got some like spotting on this. Glove box is in good shape, all works. Door card's not too bad, but more of those little scuffs. I'm gonna stop there. All right, we are in the rear hatch, trunk bed, however you like to call it. This is a hatch. Does have the all-weather mat. These are super hard to find. On my Mazda Speed, I know it was an arm and a leg if I was supposed to get one, and I said never mind. A little more wear here. Missing this privacy cover. It's hard to say if the car was equipped with it or if it's missing. They do have little speaker pins here. And then underneath, I'll show you your spare tire with the sub in it. It does have the tools and the tow hook in there. Looks like there was some dirt and stuff down in there, but nothing too terrible. Keep an eye on that. Make sure in the wet seasons it's not getting too bad. The rubber's in good shape, but I do see, like, you know, stuff just popping out and not where it's originally intended. On these, that is not a backup camera. That's how you open the rear hatch. That is a button, and that'll be that. Here in this portion, we're going to go through the computer on the vehicle. We do have some faults in here. They are all history. None of these are active, so start there. All of these ones down here, ABS and down, are all saying battery voltage low. So this car had to be jump started, or they replaced the battery recently. The battery is newer. You'll see that in the engine bay portion. PCM did have a code for a small evap leak. It says very small evap leak. Also a history code, not currently active. That could be something as simple as leaving a vacuum hose, gas cap wasn't on right, something like that. Currently not active. We do a full 10-mile loop to make sure if any of these were to come back, they should. And then it also lets all of our monitors check out, so we'll go through that here in just a moment. Now we are in the monitors. So one thing down here, I always like to make sure this VIN matches all the VINs on the car. Just make sure that it's the right computer for the car. A lot of these cars can be imported from Canada, stuff like that. All green checks on the monitors, that's what we like to see. No red X's. All the zeros with the line through it, those are just monitors that are not supported, or one of these other monitors will actually record data for that as well. So sometimes they're just over redundant there. Checks out good. We're gonna keep moving on here. All right, I'm at my conclusions here. This is going to just be a quick recap of my findings and everything. I always try to make the car look really alive at this point. My major concern on this car is the front end. You can tell that this has all been repainted, lots of body work, passenger front, lots of body stuff done here. Now, we're missing a lower support for that radiator. That's a huge thing. It's just hanging there. It's also your condenser. The crash support in there isn't, well, like there's some hardware missing. Car does pull to the left under heavy braking. When the wheel's straight, it turns left, so it's not centered. So those are concerns up in the front here. Got a little bit of a clunk and rattle in the rear. And then we got some interior leather that needs some touch up. It's got some wear marks. We got scratches, dings, dents all the way around. This door is going to be your worst paint area. You can just visually see it. It's hard on the camera, but in person it's very, very noticeable. Tires are in good shape. Car drives well. The shifts were a little lazy for me until the car was getting up to temperature, and then it seemed fine. So probably get that fluid looked at and serviced. They're neglected without them being able to check all the time. People kind of forget about them. Headlights are kind of oxidized, and you see a lot of goo in there that I was showing you, so those are definitely gonna need to be replaced. Brakes overall are in good shape, but that fluid definitely needs some attention. It's pretty dark. Also another really neglected fluid. And then just a few things that stood out. So overall, not too bad. These cars, I had a Mazda Speed and I loved my car. It was awesome. Fix the things that are headaches on these and they will just keep going as long as you take care of them. They do pretty well on these. Pretty good on economy. Mine was the turbo, like, performance one, and I was still getting like 30 miles to the gallon. So This should be pretty well. It's not the fastest car, but they're zippy. They're fun to drive. They got enough torque to get going. They don't have to like be shifting down all the time. They kind of hold their gears. Do well. But we have some stuff in the front of this car that definitely needs looked at. We're gonna stop right there.